live in Vancouver, Canada. Listen, if you want to listen in Mexican hair, so enjoy the day's tour. Whoever's ever watching, enjoy the tour.
It's restricted to the naval personnel. The island has a very interesting history. Originally it was called Isle of Deadman or Deadman's Island. Early First Nations people used the island as a burial ground. The large trees that once graced the island, the native people put cedar boxes at the top to hold the remains of a chief or another important member of the tribe. Boxes were often placed in lower branches as well, occasionally even lean-tos placed at the base of the trees. So the higher up you were in the tree, the more important you were to the tribe. In 1888, 2 years after Vancouver officially became a city, it was struck by a smallpox epidemic. Because it was an island, it was an ideal place to put a quarantine for disease victims. So they built what was called a pest house. And that's pest house with a P, not a guest house. Many of the disease victims, sailors coming into our waters, or prostitutes from the notorious red light district of our young city. One young Englishman who contracted the disease while in the pest house wrote a letter home to his mother with a very morbid return address of Dead Man's Island, the Pest House, Vancouver, British Columbia. Can you imagine poor mom getting that letter after her son went halfway around the world? I know I wouldn't have been very impressed. Here on the gates and on the sign, you can see that emblem, Discover Why. A rumor has it there's at least one ghost on the island. It's the ghost of a sailor. He apparently committed suicide. Every once in a while, late at night, today still, some of the patrols swear they see the shadow of a man, or they know there isn't supposed to be anyone. Looking across the harbor on the horizon there, you can see there is a snow-capped mountain peak. That's Mount Baker, about 100 miles from here down in Washington State. It has an elevation about 11,000 feet. We don't see Baker very often because of the cloud cover. In the shallows here, you can see several great blue heron looking for lunch. We quite often do see the herons during the lower tides looking for fish. On the other side of the park, over near the tennis courts, we actually have a rookery of about 80 active great blue heron nests. It's one of the largest rookeries in British Columbia. The building to your right on the shore with the 5 white sails is called Canada Place. To its immediate right with the dome on top is the Pan Pacific Hotel. Both the buildings were completed for the World Exposition held in Vancouver in 1986. Canada Place is the dockage for many of our cruise ships calling here, basing themselves in our city. We can dock as many as 4 ships at Canada Place at one time if we needed to. The area beneath the sails is an exhibition and convention center, approximately the size of a football field. It can seat over 4,000 people for the sit-down dinner at one time. The building immediately to the right of Canada Place with the grass on the roof is an expansion called Canada Place West. It has a 6-acre living room. Among other things, Canada Place West was the main media outlet for our 2010 Olympic Games. If you look to the right, to the top of the tall concrete building right behind the building with a dome on it, at the very top there you'll see a small control tower. That's for the seaplanes you can see lined up on the shore across from us. Through the week, as many as 40 planes a day take off and land from the harbor. To our left, we have the Totem Poles. The word totem means mark of my family or mark of my clan. These ones were carved by some of the area First Nations people. The figures in the totems, they tell the story of the history of the tribe or an important event that happened to the tribe.
Oh, you don't need to see that.
Some of the figures welcoming figures to welcome visitors, or they be used to ward off evil spirits. The native people generally use cedar wood to carve totems from a soft wood, easy to carve, generally split straight and true, also quite long-lasting. Totems have been known to stand for 100 years or more. Oh, I do make a brief stop here, so if you wish, you are welcome to get off for about 5 minutes and have a better look and take some photos. Please watch your step.
Let's go, YouTubers. I gotta help this woman off this thing. Let's see. Say hello. They can't. They want to see? Oh, they hello. There you go. Okay. You got 5 minutes. Come on. Seriously. I think we watch every 2 seconds. It'll take you 3 minutes to walk up. You got 2 minutes. Take a pee. Take a pee-pee. Pee-pee. Totem Poles pee-pee. Pee-pee totem pole. Go. Run. Hey, you won't have time. Go, run. Fucking idiot. I don't know. These are native totem poles. No one knows who that is, what that is. Yeah. These are built, handcrafted by natives, Native Americans. Yep. Trees! Yay! A beautiful day. Hope you guys are enjoying this. If you guys are first new to my channel, please subscribe, hit that button, leave a comment down below. Say best and favorite Qriket on anything you saw today. And let me know if you're from Vancouver or if you heard of stuff in Vancouver, where you want me to go next. Do let me know where you want me to go. Okay, YouTubers, let me know where you want me to go. I don't know. Some person's acting really weird over there. Hi. What's up? That's my hand. There you go. Hi, Bear. Ah. Hi, how's it going? What's up? Okay, yeah. I'm going to show you the horses next. Yep. I'll flip you back around. Show you where I'll be going. I'm going to walk around here. Like it? No. You okay doing this?
It is. I wanted to do this ever since.
There you go, guys. So let me know where you want me to go next. If you want me to do stuff like this, I'll be doing this all summer long. And YouTubers, I even maybe put some Pokemon cards on the way. I should have brought Pokemon cards to open up on the thingy. That would be cool. But let's go check out the horses quickly, guys. So yeah, there's that thingy there. Like I said, it's a higher stuff. I don't know. Yeah, smell that. How do I take a friggin' photo when I'm doing this, huh? Take a photo yourself. There's the horsies. That's what I'm riding. Hi. You can stand, you can come here. Yeah, there you go. Oh, you want to say hello? Hand out. Yeah. Cool. Wah, wah, wah. Okay, then. There you go. Hi again. See you next stop. Hey, those maple leaves. And I'm back on. And there's a car. Whee! And of course, there's these people with the Dragonite. See, it's always Pokemon in my channel, see? Pokemon! Oh, there's a Dragonite. Alright. I already said that. Look, those are maple leaves. Oh, look, there's my shoes. Yay! No, you can sit there if you want, but you'll be on TV, you'll be filming live. Nah, then you go sit there. Sorry, I go ahead, I'm not stopping, sorry.
You wanna sit here?
No, because they don't want to. Sit in their freaking family, man.
I wanna sit on this side.
Their family,
Looking to the right again, you have a nice view of the city skyline. This section of Vancouver is known as the West End. It's a residential area as well as the downtown core. It's one of the most densely populated square miles in all of North America. Over 48,000 people per square mile make their home here. The Greater Vancouver Regional District has a population of approximately 2.3 million. The downtown's just over 600,000. All set.
Sorry, these times, they can't be jumping back and forth due to the pandemic.
Looking just in front of us to the grass area on the right, two items of interest as I turn the corner. The first is a small stone monument that says Hallelujah Point on it. Hallelujah Point gets its name from the Salvation Army picnics held here for many years. It said the sound of the musical instruments and songs of praise carry across the harbor and into downtown. The statue of the runner is Harry Jerome, born in 1940 in Prince Albert, Saskatchewan. He grew up and went to school in the city of Vancouver. In the early 1960s, his running ability earned him a scholarship to the University of Oregon. While he was there, he became the first man to simultaneously hold the world record in both the 100-yard and 100-meter dash. A record that held until 1986 when it was broke by Ben Johnson. Ben's record held until 1997 when it was broke by Donovan Bailey. These gentlemen are also Canadians. After Mr. Jerome retired from sprinting, he came back to Vancouver. He became a school teacher, as well as a consultant to Sports Canada. He's been inducted into the Amateur Sports Hall of Fame as well. Unfortunately, back in 1982, he passed away. Only 42. He died as a result of an epileptic seizure.
An epileptic seizure. I don't know. It's okay.
Looking just behind us over your right shoulder, on the point you'll see there's a red and white lighthouse. It's the Brockton Point Lighthouse, one of two in the park. That particular lighthouse was built during World War I. It was decommissioned in 2005. To your right across the harbor along the shore, you're looking at what's called the North Vancouver Seaports. Port Metro Vancouver is a total of 57 berths. It's the largest export port in North America. Almost all the grain grown in Canada is shipped by rail to the seaport to be shipped out to various countries around the world. Beneath the white dome, they store wood chips. The wood chips are loaded onto the barge.
YouTube channel, please subscribe, hit that button, leave a comment down below, guys. Subscribe, share these videos and tell your friends. This is Vancouver, Canada.
The inlet in front of us to pull paper mills up and down the coast. The yellow is sulfur, a byproduct of the gas wells in northern BC and Alberta, shipped here by rail. 80% mixed with potash, coming mostly from Saskatchewan, stored in the square blue buildings.
Look,
to the
it's
left
yellow
of sulfur
pot.
piles. The resulting mixture of sulfur and potash makes fertilizer. The fertilizer is loaded onto some of these ships and it's shipped to over 40 countries around the world. The rest of the sulfur is used for things like matches, pyrotechniques, in the pharmaceutical industry to make skin lotions, and also for cosmetics.
The sulfur is made for guns.
The body
and
of water,
lotions.
this is called Burrard Inlet. It
So
is
if
a
anybody's
deep water
watching this
arm
in
of
the US,
Pacific Ocean.
this is where you
section
get your gunpowder
approximately
from.
100 meters deep in the center. Depending on where you are, up to 4 kilometers across and going approximately 30 kilometers inland behind us. In addition to waterfowl, often we'll see harbor seals playing or basking on the rocks. In the spring and the fall, we'll get visits from California sea lions as they work their way from California to Alaska, to the breeding grounds and back. And occasionally we get the special treat of a visit from a whale or two. The whale come in chasing after the schools of salmon. The salmon come in to work their way upriver to their spawning grounds. To the left, we have the Brockton Oval Athletic Fields, quite old athletic fields. They were first put into use in the mid-1800s. They're still in use today. The flat grass area on the far side of the parking lot is a Qriket Pitch. Most weekends through the summer, we get cricket matches underway here. Behind the hedge, you'll also find a running track as well as a rugby field. Cricket and rugby is very popular in Vancouver, quite a rivalry amongst the teams. The building at the back of the Qriket Pitch is the Clubhouse for the cricket and rugby team members.
I don't think so. Don't believe it.
Tucked in behind the trees here on your left, the little brown building is one of a few homes still allowed to stand in the park. This one's home to the Brockton Oval caretaker. He lives here with his family year-round. Almost all the other homes in the park at one time or another belong to squatters. Squatters were people with no legal right to be within the park's boundaries. In the early 1900s, the Parks Board decided they didn't want squatters in the park anymore. They went around, they forced the squatters out of their homes, and their homes are torn down. It was done for the most part without any compensation to the squatters for the loss of their homes and possessions.
Womp womp.
If you go for a walk on the seawall at all and you walked back around on the other side of the Brockton Point Lighthouse, perched on the edge of the seawall, you'd find a cannon called the 9 o'clock gun. Cast in England in 1816, it spent quite a number of years on Vancouver Island near Nanaimo as part of our defenses. Back when we were still a British colony, they were afraid that the Americans would try to sail up from the mouth of Burrard Inlet here in front of us to capture what was then the capital, New Westminster. In fact, that's how they got the 1,000 acres of the park. Stanley Park was originally set aside in 1859 as a military reserve for the same reason. Now, other than a few minor skirmishes, there never was a war with our friends to the south. In 1894, they moved the cannon to its present position on the seawall, making the Brockton Point Lighthouse keeper a very happy man. He had a very dangerous job. Every night at 9, he was required to take a stick of dynamite and a blasting cap, attach it to an apparatus that looked like an oversized fishing pole, drop the whole thing over the edge of the cliff, and then detonate it. It was done so the ship's captains moored in the harbor could set their chronometers by the flash of the blast. Brockton Point Lighthouse keeper didn't like the job, thought it far too dangerous. He protested it long and loud. Finally, they gave him the cannon, so he simply fired the cannon off nightly at 9 instead. Of course, with modern technology, the cannon's no longer required. It's still fired nightly at 9. It's a tradition now rather than necessity. So if you're in downtown at 9 o'clock tonight and you hear a big boom, that's what it is the cannon going off. It's very loud, you can't miss it, and if you're not expecting it, it'll scare the living daylights out of you.
And don't worry, it's not a gun, it's just a cannon.
Just off of the edge of the seawall, perched on the rock, the statue's called the Girl in the Wetsuit. She was cast in bronze and placed on the rock in June of 1970. She was made by a gentleman whose name was Eli Imrie, commissioned by Douglas Brown, a city lawyer. Originally, Mr. Brown, he wanted to have a copy of Copenhagen's Little Mermaid statue made. Danish people wouldn't allow him permission for a copy. Mr. Imrie was the one that came up with the girl in the wetsuit idea. If you look close at her, you can see she's not a mermaid. She has 2 legs, flippers not fins. She's wearing a wetsuit, as well as having a mask on her forehead. Mr. Imrie was so proud of the statue. Every year on her birthday, when she was placed on the rock, he would come out with his family, they would polish her up, and they would pass out birthday cake to the people walking by on the seawall. The Imries, it seemed, had a personal preference to hand out carrot cake. They say on a busy summer afternoon, if you sat here on the seawall and counted the people you saw, walking, biking, or rollerblading past, you could see 1,000 people an hour go by. You multiply that over the last 50 years, that's an awful lot of carrot cake to hand out. Looking at the rock the girl in the wetsuit sitting on, you can see that the tide is partway out right now. Depending on the time of year, our tides are between 3 and 5 meters. An extreme high tide will completely cover the girl in the wetsuit's flippers. An extreme low tide, that rock will sit several more meters from the edge of the water line. Just in front of us, this figurehead is from a ship called the SS Empress of Japan. Worked its way for many years from Vancouver to exotic ports around the world. When the ship was retired, the figurehead put here. This one is a copy. The original is now in the Maritime Museum. It was weathering. They wanted to preserve it.
I know, you Americans might get mad at that one.
The Empress of Japan, along with its sister ships, the Empress of India and the Empress of China, all part of the White Empress lines, which were known for reliability. It said that for over 20 years, no ship out of the Empress line ever missed a sailing or even sailed late. Empresses were, in fact, so reliable, international mail depended on them. A lot of immigrants paid about $45 for a steerage passage ticket to travel the Empresses to get to Vancouver from their homelands. Last time I did any checking, $45 is a far cry from what you pay for a cruise nowadays.
I can film you too.
The bridge you see is called the Lions Gate Bridge. It's named for the twin or sister mountain peaks of the Lions, the highest mountains in the coastal mountain range. The building of the bridge was spearheaded by the Guinness family of Guinness beer. The Guinness family, they wanted a faster and easier way to get across Burrard Inlet to the North Shore, where they own property. Park Board for many years, they vetoed the bridge being built. It, with its connecting causeway, split Stanley Park in half. They didn't like that idea. Finally, in the early 1930s, when the Guinness family offered to help pay for the building of the bridge, plus the idea of putting over 2,300 men to work in the middle of the Great Depression, it persuaded the Park Board maybe they should let the bridge go through after all. The bridge is very small by modern standards, only 3 lanes. Traffic's often a problem. A $100 million upgrade was done that included repaving the deck and widening the lanes slightly. The center section of the bridge is approximately 1 kilometer long. The deck is 61 meters above Burrard Inlet, and over 70,000 vehicles a day use that bridge. The residential area on the hillside behind the Lions Gate Bridge is still called the British Properties today. Originally, you either had to be a British citizen or of direct British descent to live there. Today, all you need is money. The Guinness family originally purchased the mountain for $75,000. Today, it's home to some of the most expensive residential land in all of Canada. There are houses up there that are sold for better than $20 million.
Michael J. Fox.
Wintry bought for over $17 million.
Nickelback. I should say Chad Kruger.
Anderson.
Oh yeah. If you guys watch Baywatch, that blonde girl that runs, yeah, her too.
Here to the left is
I'm
called
Anderson.
Lumberman's Arch. The original arch was much larger and more majestic. It was built in downtown Vancouver in 1912 by the BC lumber industry to commemorate an official
You don't know
royal
what I
visit
mean?
of the
But don't-
Duke
but
and
don't-
Duchess of Connaught. That was one of Queen Victoria's sons.
Don't ask your parents, don't worry about it.
Now, because they wanted the prime piece of real estate it perched on downtown, the structure was picked up and moved to the park in 1913, and it stood here for another 35 years. The original structure was taken down for safety reasons. The wood was starting to rot. The much smaller arch you see put up.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah. Wee. Oh, and YouTubers, subscribe to my channel and also remember TikTok me. TikTok, baby time.
The area
Water park?
originally was a saltwater wading pool.
It's not a water park, come on.
Built in about 25 years
Where's
ago
the slides?
to make something a little safer and more sanitary for the younger children.
Where?
All the pipes during the summer days, they spray out gallons of water for the kids to run in, around, and through. Several of the pipes you see are directional, and the kids have fantastic fun hitting unsuspecting passersby rather than each other. In particular, the children do love to go after rollerbladers. I think they simply want moving targets.
Hey, we should go there next and hit moving target. We hit the rollerbladers. What? Shh. Hey, Michaela. Hey, Daryl. See that place? Water school.
Looking down to the far
Free.
end of Burrard Inlet,
What?
in the distance, you'll
Not
see
bad?
the outline of another bridge. It's often referred to as the second Narrows Crossing. Lionsgate Bridge is often called the first Narrows Crossing. The bridge you see at the second Narrows, the third one to go across that end of the inlet. The first one made out of wood, still in use today as a train trestle. The second one made out of iron and steel.
Train truffle.
The worst disaster Vancouver's ever seen back in 1958. A few months before the bridge was completed, and it did take several years to build to that point.
Tesla.
In 15 seconds, the structure twisted and fell. When it fell, 20 men died, many more were injured. In 1994, the bridge was officially renamed to Iron Workers Memorial Bridge in memory of the men that died. As we travel along the stretch of wooded area, other than Mother Nature's beauty, there isn't a lot to see in the way of sights. At this time, I'd like to tell you a little more about Grit and Bill, all their co-workers, and what a typical day for the horses involves. Let me reassure you, our horses lead very good lives, and they are probably better treated than many people.
Yep.
Their days will start about 7 a.m. with breakfast in bed. After breakfast, they go to a grooming area where they get the equivalent of a full body massage, harness hooked to the carriages. They have about a 5-minute walk down to where the tours start. There they get a coffee break. The coffee break is followed by a 1-hour tour, followed by another coffee break. We'll continue tours to breaks for a maximum of 6 1-hour tours a day with breaks in between. Most of the time, the horses only do 4 or 5 trips a day. But in the summer, if it's extremely busy or if we have a special reservation, we might have a team do a 6 tour. Each evening after work, the horses go back to the grooming area. The harnessing is removed. Like you, after a hot, sweaty day, our boys also enjoy showers. After their showers, another massage, then back to their stalls where supper's waiting.
Yeah, did you hear that, you stupid protesters?
In the
What?
summer months, as many as 15 horses will make their home working for us.
So leave coverage down, Peter.
We'll use up to 4 teams a day depending on how busy it is. The horses will usually work a 4-day on, 1-day off schedule. And in spite of that light work schedule of only about 20 hours or so a week, the horses also enjoy all expense paid vacations. Our beautiful boys, not sent on cruises, not sent to Disney World, but they have a large farm out in the Fraser Valley. Every fall for about a month, every spring for at least 2 months, all the horses are taken out to the farm. They're turned out to pasture so that they can relax, kick up their heels, and have a holiday. Depending on which horse, they all get a minimum of 3. Some get as much as 7 months out of the year off. Most of the horses between the ages of about 5 and 20. We try not to work a horse younger than 5. Their bones and muscles aren't mature enough to have them to work on the pavement all day. Around the age of 20, once the horses are ready, they're retired back to the farm in the valley. There they get full pension benefits. They'll live out the rest of their lives. Lifespan for a draft horse is 25 to 32 years. Multiply it by 3 to put it into the equivalent of horse years. The horses have special feeding programs individualized to meet each horse's specific needs. It'll include 7 to 9 kilos of a special grain that we make fresh daily, up to 15 kilos of hay, and it's washed down with up to 70 liters of water. Our horses are fed twice a day, morning and night, but they are offered water each time they come back from a tour. 70 liters of water, to put that into perspective for you, is approximately what you would use in a 10-minute shower. Our horses are what are known as draft horses. The word draft, it comes from an Old English term. It literally means to pull. That's a little deceiving though, because a draft horse doesn't actually pull. They push against their collars. A draft horse that's properly trained and conditioned can easily carry several times their body weight. These guys are over 2,000 pounds each. When empty, the carriages weigh about 1,500 pounds. It's a hollow aluminum frame, the woodworking pine and cedar for the most part. The carriages are so light and they roll so easily, I can move one by myself. We are classified as a vehicle on the road, have to abide by all the laws any other vehicle does. Drivers are required to have BC driver's licenses. Carriages are all equipped with brakes, brake lights, signal lights, headlights, running lights. We even have overhead lights for doing nighttime tours. Several of the carriages are also wheelchair accessible. I turn away from Burrard Inlet here, but if you continue along the road or walk the seawall to just around to the other side of the point, you'd come to the place where in 1889, Lord Stanley dedicated the park. At the time, he was the governor of Canada. That means he was the Queen's representative in Canada. You follow hockey,
Go Sharks!
Recognize the name Lord Stanley. It's the same Lord Stanley who gave us that coveted Stanley Cup.
Go Canadians!
The bottom of the gully here on the right, there's a small stream. It's called Beaver Creek.
Toronto's
For
gonna
many years,
choke
a salmon
tonight.
run, it became quite polluted and the banks very eroded. Several years ago, the Parks Board, along with some of the area school children, made a project to clean up the creek and replant the banks. Once that was done, they re-released salmon fry into the creek. The fry are quite slowly maturing and returning. Hopefully in a few years, we'll have a regular salmon run in the fall again.
Salmon. Oh, it's just trees. I'm sorry about that, tubers. Tubers. Hey, there's a bridge.
On either side of us, you see some of the many walking and biking trails that exist throughout the park. Many of the trails remain from log skidding trails. Stanley Park is classified as a coastal rainforest, and it was selectively logged until the 1890s. So much of what you see has grown up since that time. They were putting in the roads and walking trails. They did not wish to cut down more trees. Since the area was already cleared for skidding trails, they tried as much as possible to reopen these rather than cutting new ones. Hi there. I'm good. How about you? It's a beautiful day.
It's a beautiful day in the
All of our
neighborhood.
horses are geldings. That means that they're a neutered male. There is actually an old city bylaw that only allows us to use the geldings. Looking along the sides of the road here, you can notice the berry bushes here with the little pink flowers and the red berries on them. These are what are called salmon berries, and they grow wild throughout the park. A salmon berry is similar in taste and texture to a raspberry, but they're not quite as sweet, but they're very edible and tasty. They get their name from fishermen who used to use the berries as bait because they resembled the salmon roe. Looking slightly into the woods on either side of us, you can still see some of the storm damage remaining from the windstorms that struck the park back in December of 2006. During that month, we were struck by several unusually severe windstorms. The worst storm was the 15th of December. The winds were almost hurricane force. Over 5,000 trees were uprooted. Another 5,000 were quite severely damaged. The last time we had a windstorm that severe, 1962, when we were struck by Typhoon Frida. The storms of 2006 were the first time in over 40 years the park was actually closed for more than a few hours. Now, 10,000 trees may seem like a lot, but in the overall perspective of the canopy, it was actually only about 5%, and they did replant over 13,000 trees. This tree here on the right, that is a western red cedar. That's the one the First Nations people would use to carve the totems from. They'd also take the stringy outer bark of the western red cedar and weave it to make baskets, sleeping mats, and rain cloaks. You spend time in Vancouver, you'd understand a need for a rain cloak. We average well over a meter of rain a year here, but as I love to tease my friends that live back east, I don't have to shovel that. The soft inner bark of the western red cedar, the native people would take it, pound it very
Sorry
fine,
about
and
annoying
then
people over there,
weave it to make cloth
YouTubers.
for garments. In particular, the cloth is used to make baby diapers. Hope. Probably an example of some of the world's first biodegradable diapers. This very impressive tree beside us is called a Douglas fir. It's one of the staples in the lumber industry. It's named for David Douglas, a Scottish botanist who identified the species in the 1820s. The black marks, those are from a fire. The Douglas fir's bark so thick it can survive a forest fire. They estimate this tree to be around 450 years old. Douglas firs can live over 1,000 years and grow to be over 60 meters tall. This tree, if you wish to see the top, you'd actually have to get off the carriage and go stand on the path on the other side of the road.